for true change. Once you go back to using common sense, shit will change. Because right now, common sense is just not common. Wow. Not in front of kids. Not in front of the kids. Not in front of the kid. It's like this is stupid. Any brown person that's against Elon Musk is really fucking stupid. You have no fucking common fucking sense unless you're fucking working for the government and you're stealing. That's the only reason why a brown person should be mad at Elon Musk. If you are a part of the criminal elements.
Religion was never about salvation, it was about control. They to make it turtle. So, I don't know if y'all ever seen that freaking barcode that we give.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. One thing that I learned is that just because somebody says something in confidence does not make it the truth. Someone who knows how to lie or say something that they believe is the truth that just ain't true, just because they say it with confidence does not make it the truth. This young man made a post that says saving $8 a day will get you $100,000 if you do it for 365 days. Nothing could be further from the truth. Nothing at all. If you multiply 8 times $365, you're going to come up with a total of $2,920. So you save for 1 year, you might have another 40 or 45 years to go if you want $100,000. Amen. Y'all sit up and down that education is not for everybody. Yes, it is. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. One thing that I learned is that just because somebody says something in confidence does not make it the truth. someone who knows how to lie or say something that they believe is truth that just ain't true, just because they say it with confidence does not make it the truth. This young man made a post that said saving $8 a day will get you $100,000 if you do it for 365 days. Nothing could be further from the truth. Nothing at all. If you multiply 8 times $365, you are going to come up with a total of $2,920. So you save for 1 year, you might have another 40 or 45 years to go if you want $100,000. Amen. Y'all swear up and down that education is not for everybody. Yes, it is. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. One thing that I learned is that just because somebody says something in confidence does not make it the truth. Someone who knows how to lie or say something that they believe is truth that just ain't true, just because they say it with confidence does not make it the truth. This young man made a post that said saving $8 a day will get you $100,000 if you do it for 365 days. Nothing could be further from the truth. Nothing at all. If you multiply 8 times $365, you are going to come up with a total of $2,920. So you save for 1 year, you might have another 40 or 45 years to go if you want $100,000. Amen. Y'all swear up and down that education is not for everybody. Yes, it is. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. One thing that I learned is that just because somebody says something in confidence does not make it.
Here,
No,
stay here.
don't believe either. The word believe needs to be lied to. Look at it, write it down on a piece of paper. You will see
It
believe
is to be
first
lied.
2 letters, then L-I-E, next letter, then P-E with separate.
It is to be
So
lied.
believe Jesus. You gotta believe in anything. Anything you believe in is because you don't know.
Believe is doubt. And all believers are liars and they don't know.
Like if you know, are attacking Teslas or dealerships, going beyond vandalism, that could be an act of domestic terrorism. But I do want to ask about this as resistance. Is this what resistance should look like?
Talking about CNN, here is former anchor and insufferable hysteric Don Lemon. And he's reminiscing here about CNN's golden age.
And I've been prompted by the ancestors to do so ritual. Now, the moon does it not control our Muslims.
And that was the
But you feel it does I'm driving to that moon, I'm gonna lie. And they'll wake me up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning to go pray or do like real rituals that I've never done. And I'm like, this is the money. They be like, do the ritual. Like money rituals, different kind of rituals. I'm like, man, this stuff is crazy. But then I see other people talk about it too. And I'm like, oh, this is scary because I don't need a home. I grew up in a Christian family, so I don't subscribe to that now, but it's just like, this is taboo.
You know, the massive cycle, right?
You guys see menstrual cycle every month, right?
Uh-huh.
The root word of menstrual is mensa. The root word of menstrual is mensa. Do you know what mensa means? Mold. Mensa is mold. When you go buy your next period pack from the store, when you have your lady time of the month, look when you buy your next period pack if you don't see a mold sign on the pack.
Oh, no. Yeah, I don't remember when I have all this direction. So,
You know what I'm saying? That's
I
because
still go through this.
they know that your body is made, your blood is down. A high school AP American history test.
So
A
you
group
want
of
to feel
women
your
white in South Africa going to a
soon as the woman gets straight, the world becomes straight.
American history, American law, American free enterprise. Elon Musk is such a bad citizen that he was stupid enough to bring even more attention to the latest disturbing challenges that Tesla owners are facing thanks entirely
Let's go.
The natural order is with Mother Nature.
Look at my chart. He was like, yo, Magnesia. So I was asking him,
Well done, Lauren.
meantime, doing the full
Really
version,
good
my balance
analysis
is going
there
to be
from
like
you.
$500 a while.
I think I
And
like
that's
that
great.
when you were
Look,
having
just this I'm trying to come back here because I want to know talking
This
to
is
can't
an
see nothing on my
all-time
screen.
great clip, guys. Enjoy. Stop the
Damn.
hanging.
I sure want him to come back in here after that.
Stop the hammering. Stop the hammering.
I ain't quick to say that this is the reason why they can get feel like stronger leader with all that coming in at the right time and then everything's just flowing. I swear no negativity, no disrespect, no nothing. It's the mind flow. This is how we grind. This is how we tell the veil completely down. Revelation.
The love,
This is how we
the love, the natural order.
Y'all hear me now? Because I can see y'all faces now. This is it. All right, we hear you.
Order,
So if you look on your I told you
order.
they say you go through a menstrual cycle because the root word of menstrual is mensa, and mensa really means moon. Your cycle lasts 29 and a half days.
Common
Just
sense
like
is
the
the
moon
love.
lasts, the moon cycle
You're
lasts 29
born
and a
with
half
the
days.
natural order.
And it goes from you first said
Common sense is the love. You're born with the natural order.
now, let me explain why that makes perfect sense for you. It actually makes magnesium inside your blood and put iron inside of it because it's what's feeding the galaxy. Why? Because when we first came on this planet, I told you we had two suns and no moon. So we never had a nighttime. You know what I'm saying? So everything would grow big, bigger foods. Also, we were the giants. The giants that they told you about, I told you about, or before we sell out, because you know what I'm saying? It could be getting different.
Astronauts, while they were still in space, yeah, they thanked it
Certain.
Donald Trump for the
Oh,
There's people saying, why did you leave? And it kind of feels like
I can tell you
at some
the outset,
point
we have all of us have
had
a
a
respect for Mr.
yes.
I'm trying to look for people that Trump. We appreciate them. We appreciate all that they do for us, for human.
I grew up in church.
today. The rescue mission was
And
completed
the church,
successfully.
the air quotes starting when I was like, she's making this. My background is a Methodist, and but I said Methodist just to give back. So my mom was a preacher's kid, her dad was a Methodist minister all across the South and stuff during the 30s and 40s. Maybe interesting stuff. Methodism, the Jewish faith in Australia around the turn of the century, the last century. And he served in the Australian Army during World War I, and then started a family in Ireland, and then came to the U.S. Changed his name from a Jewish name.
I can't stop thinking about that Northrop Donald clip. Oh my God. We need more cowbells. That's all I can think about. You know, SpaceX, right, versus NASA. I mean, the numbers are so stark, it's unbelievable. SpaceX is 10 times faster and twice as cheap as NASA. SpaceX has 1% overlap on
their projects. NASA has 90%, okay? And they keep banging on Elon Musk. This is the man who created. Now I see why this thing, Wi-Fi cameras is trending a little. This thing is awesome.
This new subscription for. Do you believe that America is addicted to white supremacy?
I believe that I tweeted that, and as I said earlier, I believe much of my thinking has evolved over the last half decade.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the House oversight hearing featuring NPR CEO Catherine Barr. Now, I looked her up. I did not see a Bill Maher connection, so I don't think she's any relation to him. But she is, however, the CEO of NPR, and she's woke. She is very woke. She's done podcasts, interviews, and TED Talks, in which she has displayed her wokeness. Now, her being woke and the CEO of NPR wouldn't really be a problem if NPR, first of all, wasn't obviously biased toward the left, and second, they get federal funding. Now, if you ask NPR, they'll say, oh, it's less than 1% of our funding. Okay, if it's less than 1%, then why do you need it? Go ahead and just shed that federal funding, and you'll be fine, right? You don't got to worry about oversight hearings. You don't have to worry about questions of being biased one way or the other. You can just be free. Why not do that? I don't understand. Before I go any further, let's look at the interview from 2021 with Trevor Noah. This will give you an idea of what kind of information we're dealing with. Then we're going to get to a couple more things from this House oversight hearing, and I will link to all videos in the box. If you're on IG, click the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
The fact of the matter is that most written knowledge today has been written by white, colonial, European, North American men. And so one of the things that we're really focused on is how do we think about correcting the record? How do we think about writing people into history? How do we think about writing people into the present who haven't been represented in the same way?
I got a question. You say we have to figure that out. Who is we? What is the racial makeup of the we? That's what I want to know. Because if you're complaining about white men writing everything, and then your team is like 89% white men, who cares? It's the same thing. At that point, is it about who's writing it or how they write it? From which lens they write it? For which narrative they are trying to
portray.
craft?
Knowledge, when we talk about knowledge for the whole world, it needs to be reflective of the whole world. And so one of the first things we do is we measure the gaps. Who is missing on Wikipedia? Women are
The
missing,
truth.
people of color are missing, people from
The
the
truth.
Global South
The
are
truth.
missing,
That was missing in
communities are
Wikipedia.
missing,
The truth.
the history of Black Americans is missing from Wikipedia. Then we think about who's doing this work today and how can we support them. And it's not just about, say, throwing money at the problem. It's also about going directly to these communities and saying, what do we need to change about ourselves? You know, what about the experience of editing Wikipedia?
You need to start telling the truth that makes sense. That'll be a big change.
Need to change because in reality, the beautiful thing about Wikipedia is it is changeable all the time. It's edited 350 times a minute. So if we want to change it, that's fully within our power. So yes, we are.
Who is we?
With a record
Who is
that
we?
hugely biased throughout history, but the power to change that agency lies with every single one of us who contribute to it.
All right, there we go. So that's, again, Catherine Barr from when she was over at Wikipedia. After Wikipedia, she went to NPR, which is where she is right now. I think she went to NPR last year, 2024. Okay, now here is a piece of the oversight hearing. It was kind of like 2.5, 3 hours. I'll link to whatever I can find in the box. Let's watch this, then we got nothing after this.
Do you believe that America is addicted to white supremacy?
I believe that I tweeted that, and as I said earlier, I believe much of my thinking has evolved over the last half decade.
Do you believe that America believes in black plunder and white democracy?
I don't believe that, sir.
You can tweeted that in reference to a book you were reading at the time, apparently, The Case for Reparations.
I don't think I've ever read that book, sir.
Let's pause. Now, she's good at what she's doing, but I can see right through it. He's asking her about the quote on Twitter, now X, and she says, well, I don't believe that. Did you write it, though? I didn't ask you if you believed it. Did you write it? Is that what you said back in 2020? Like, what, 4 or 5 years ago? Did you write it? And then she says, well, I don't know about that book. Maybe she did not read the book titled that, but maybe she read someone's case for reparations. See what I'm saying? So she knows what he's meaning, but she's answering the questions in a way to hide the truth.
Tweeted about it. He said he took a day off to fully read the case for reparations. Put that on Twitter.
That could have been the book, or it could have been somebody's tweet that has the title.
January 2020.
I apologize, I don't recall that I did.
Do you believe that white people inherently feel superior to other races?
I do not.
You don't. You tweeted something to that effect. You said, I grew up feeling superior. How white of me. Why did you tweet that?
I think I was probably reflecting on what it was to grow up in an environment where I had lots of advantages.
Do you think that?
So you do believe that whites are superior, or maybe you thought that you were better because you're white? I mean, basically, again, you're kind of confirming what he's saying.
The white people should pay reparations?
I've never said that, sir.
Yes, you did. Said it in January 2020. You tweeted, yes, the North, yes, all of us, yes, America, yes, our original collective sin and unpaid debt, yes, reparations, yes, on this day.
I don't believe that was a reference to fiscal reparations, sir.
What kind of reparations was it a reference to?
I think it was just a reference to the idea that we all owe much to the people who came before us.
Another one of those answers, fishy, not really getting down to the bottom of the actual issue. And of course, she knows exactly what he's saying. She wrote the tweets. She knows that he knows what she meant by the tweets. But this right here is just what political type people do. Okay? I'll link to this video in the box, but we gotta go through a little bit more. This is gonna be James Comer.
And I don't even recognize the station. It's not new. I feel like it's propaganda. I feel like there's disinformation every time I listen to NPR. And, a media entity like MSNBC or Huffington Post that, in my opinion, consistently spews disinformation, they can do that. They're a private company. But NPR gets federal funds. And I have a problem with that. Because if people in Alaska, if all they have is public radio, then all they know is what these headlines say. And they're wrong about COVID-19. And the headlines in the background don't have time to go over all these headlines that are wrong. About Russian collusion, wrong. About the Hunter Biden laptop, wrong. And then there's a story about me. And part of what we went through in this community during the Biden investigation, which, by the way, ended with Joe Biden's last act as President of the United States, pardoned his entire family preemptively for an 11-year period, which just so happened to be the 11-year period that this committee investigated the Biden, that we had subpoenaed bankrupt. I don't think NPR reported about the pardons, but they reported a lot about how there was no evidence of any wrongdoing, things that just weren't true. In fact, there's a story, NPR, lawmaker leading Hunter Biden House investigation, accused of owning a shell company. Well, that's me. Miss Mayor, are you familiar with that story that NPR wrote about me at the height of the Biden investigation when you all were disputing?
Before he continues, a lot of your mainstream media, NPR included, have been weaponized against the American people, in my opinion. Weaponized against the American people, weaponized against any kind of conservative, anybody on the right, anybody that's not over the Democratic Party agenda. You are the enemy of the state, basically. So James Comer wrapped up in that, all of us wrapped up in it as conservative people, in my opinion. But let's continue.
Every aspect of our investigation that is 100% factual, we have hundreds of pages of evidence, hundreds of pages of bank records, hundreds of pages of emails. Do you remember the story that NPR wrote about me saying I have a shell company?
Congressman, I was not an NPR at the time, and I'm unfamiliar with the
Where
story.
do you get your sources on something like that? That's a very serious accusation because we're investigating a president and his family who had 28 shell companies. I have an LLC, had 5 properties in it. It's in my financial disclosure report. I've gone into great detail and given lots of interviews. But people that listen to NPR they're totally disinformed.
Cross game. Now, it doesn't matter that the story about the shell company and about a laptop before she became the CEO. The reality is that NPR has been the same with her and before her. It's a bunch of left stuff. So why are we paying federal monies if you know exactly what you're going to do? You know the kind of stories you're going to put out there. You know you're not really trying to turn over a new leaf. It's going to be the same old left-wing propaganda. Why would we give you any federal funding for that? If you want to be a left-wing rag, do that on your own dime.
On the truth. And you know, it's kind of funny with that because you get federal funds. And I do believe there was a role for public radio 30 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. But because of technology today, I don't think there's a role for public radio anymore. And I think you've abused the privilege that you had with receiving federal funds. Because these episodes here are not true. This is disinformation. It's a huge topic. Do you want to dispute anything that I said in the remaining 30 seconds?
Thank you, Congressman. First of all, I want to recognize your concerns. One of the first things that I did in coming in May was...
There's more, but it is going to end right there. So I'll link to this in the box. I'll link to the full thing. I can find it in the box. But again, that is the NPR CEO, Catherine Carr. No relation to Bill Carr. But as I close, I'm going to say this. I don't think NPR needs any federal funding. They say, according to NPR themselves, the dollar below, and y'all put it in the box. We only get about 1% or less of our money from the federal government. Okay, then just don't take that money. And you'll continue on just fine, right?
Yo, what you need?
99% of you.
Yeah, player. We'll get it to you.
So survive on that, or if you're going to take our money, taxpayer money, be more neutral. Don't just say everything's left. You're giving a false impression of what the truth is. Call it more in the center. If you're going to report on bad things about the right, same thing about the left. And be more neutral, the way that Associated Press and Reuters used to be. All those rags have become left-wing rags because they think they're in a fight against the right. They've been indoctrinated in K through 12 in college to engage in a civil war of sorts against us. And if they're going to do that, why would we pay them to do that? It doesn't make any sense. I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your... Let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I support NPR's right to freedom of speech, but I don't think that we should be funding them if they're going to do stuff like this. Why would they get federal monies while hurting the people? Like, you're putting out this information, call it right in the center, with no affiliation to the left or the right, just right in the middle, no bias. Do that if you're going to get taxpayer money. They're paying you for a public service, not to push propaganda. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I gotta say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.